Welcome to the Gals Guide podcast. Join us on an adventure to get to know famous and infamous women from around the world. Each of our presenters has a pick. Is she ancient history? Is she breaking news? Is she safe for work? Well, that's up to each presenter. All we know is that...
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Welcome back. I'm Katie, and I'm joined by Riwu, Barb, and Bonnie sharing our Canadian gal pick. Bonnie already talked about Lucy Maud Montgomery, the author of Anne of Green Gables and so many other books. Before I introduce my gal to you all and we dive back in, I want to know something random about my gal pals. And you know I love to talk about food.
Yes.
So most obviously, I'm going to ask, what is your favorite Canadian food?
Dun, dun, dun. Has anybody had poutine?
Yes, that's what I was going to say.
Oh, okay, all right. Then we'll wait.
I yelled it in.
Okay.
Yes.
It's like, that's my thing. Yes. Crap. Can I just say Tim Hortons? I mean, is that fair? Like, it's an entire chain.
Yeah.
Oh,
But like, from everything
Yeah.
to the coffee to the breakfast sandwiches to like the donuts to like, we have found a way, especially if we kind of do upstate New York-ish, not necessarily, because Canada needs a passport now. This was not my childhood.
Yeah.
But so now we're just kind of like New York-ish and getting the Tim Hortons. And if we can find a way to have breakfast there, and at least like a lunchish, dinnerish, so we have both sides of the menu. That's a good Tim Horton day. Josh was in Ohio for a trip and came home with Tim Hortons because that's what you do.
It's not trickling down. It's in like Minnesota and stuff now.
Yep, exactly. I fully support it. So I do. I mean, I love a lot of things. I love my dark chocolate. We were briefly talking about chocolate and how in Canada Nestle's chocolate is a little different. I like dark chocolate, so therefore Canadian chocolate is not totally my jam. It's more whipped and stuff, but it's still. I'm not going to turn away a piece of Canadian chocolate. Also, anything with maple syrup. So yes,
Yes, that's all good. That's all good.
Those chocolate, those egg things.
Oh, the Cadbury eggs.
No, the Kinder eggs.
Oh yes,
The Kinder eggs.
Yes.
Toys
They've got
inside.
those little bars.
yes.
It's like the same thing.
Yep.
I
There
just
you go.
feel bad because if you get the 4-pack,
Yeah.
you're like, oh, but it's still it's outside plastic,
Right.
2 individual sticks wrapped in plastic, and
Yep.
then each one of those is. I'm like, there's
That's
so
just
much,
too much work.
so
That's
much
really-
plastic. I feel bad.
Have to. Yeah. There's
You
a lot of
know.
environmental trauma that's happening in that.
No.
Yeah. this
Kinder
is very
eggs might be one of my only crimes I've committed in my
Oh.
life.
Look at that.
Because
Did you try to eat the toy?
Kinder eggs, the ones they sell in the UK and
Yep.
Canada, are banned here in the United States.
Yeah, because we eat the toy.
because we would eat the toy and choke and die. But my son, when he was little, he was obsessed with Kinder eggs because he'd watch YouTube videos
Yeah.
of people opening Kinder eggs and showing what was inside.
Yeah.
So on a trip to Canada, I got a whole bunch for him for his Easter basket and
Oh.
totally took them over the border.
Look at you. Totally worth
Smuggled
it.
in
It's
the
worth
Kinder
it.
eggs.
You
You know
should.
this is a
And he's-
podcast, right?
They're
And
gone now.
I would do it again.
There's no evidence now. There's no evidence.
The
And
evidence has been eaten.
Thankfully, Jonah is still living.
There you go.
He did not
There you
choke
go.
to death
Sweet.
on the toys
I do
inside
feel like
the
I should
Kinder
knock
egg.
on wood just for like, future safety. Yes,
Mhm.
exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah. No,
What
it's
about you, Barb? Do you have a favorite Canadian food?
So I don't know if this considers as a favorite Canadian food, but I know they like a lot of bison,
good. Yeah.
and I do appreciate the bison meat. And I
Yeah.
have some friends who live kind of northwest Canada, and they prepare a lot of bison, so bison meatloaf
Yeah.
and things like that. So
Nice.
it's always very tasty.
Yeah.
Everything is very tasty. So I enjoy that. A little bit leaner meat, I think.
Yes.
Although sometimes I find it maybe to be a little bit more salty. That could just be the preparation. I'm not sure, but
Right,
I
yeah.
do like that. I do like
Yeah.
that as an alternative sometimes. So
Exactly. Mixing it up.
Yeah.
Tastiness.
there you go.
Yes. Well, I am in love with the poutine.
Yes.
Oh, so delicious.
Yeah.
I
It's
feel
not
like
really a
everything
fan.
about it I would like.
Right? Because you got French fries.
Yeah.
You've
Cheese.
got a beautiful, yummy gravy
Yeah.
with usually some kind of meat.
Yeah.
And then, you have the cheese curds. Not just cheese, but it is
Oh,
cheese
okay.
curds.
Got it.
Cheese curds.
Sweet.
Now I
So,
like the
it's
cheese curd by
incredible.
itself. I don't like it all together
Yeah.
with
I'm
gravy.
not normally
I
a
guess
gravy
gravy.
person either. And I think there would probably be some preparations and some gravies. I'd be like, I can leave it.
Yeah.
But when I went to Canada, I found it's a Canadian chain that does poutine, and they did it so good.
Did it well.
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
See,
Good.
experts in it. And it is one of those things, like, it needs to be, it's not something somebody can pick up for you and bring it home and you can try it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
It is an on-site kind
It
of
is a
like
fresh
thing.
You need to
and
eat it
so
fresh.
Oh, yeah.
that's why I
Soggy
haven't
French
had
fries
it.
are a no.
No.
That's why when
Yeah.
you first get it, they're
Yeah.
going to still maintain some of their crunch. And
You got a,
Yeah.
what, a
Yep.
2-minute window on McDonald's fries? I mean, like,
Right,
after
right.
that, they're just trash. So, I mean, I can only imagine what fries and gravy kind of window you have there.
Someone, is it Culver's that has it?
They have cheese
Poutine?
curds.
I think they have poutine.
I've never had it.
Hmm.
I would order
Oh,
it if they
well,
had
there
Or
it.
maybe
you
it's
go.
just cheese fries with the poutine or with the
Gotcha.
I wouldn't be
cheese curds.
surprised.
Or it
if
could
they
be a
did.
seasonal
I-
thing, yeah. I mean,
think
with the
they have
Wisconsin
poutine.
cheese, I could see it.
Yeah.
I'll just have to be on the lookout. I guess.
Interesting.
Who do you have for us, darling? Sorry, yay!
So I am going to be introducing you to Viola Desmond. She is basically the Canadian Rosa Parks.
Oh, yay!
Very nice.
But as I learned on the documentary about her, which you can watch on YouTube,
Nice.
technically we should be saying that Rosa Parks is the American
Mm.
Viola Desmond
Oh.
because Viola was arrested while challenging segregation laws 9 years before Rosa Parks.
Oh, look at
So-
that. Nice.
She is definitely a trailblazer, a very strong woman. She was born on July 6th, 1914.
Look at that. Oh, happy birthday. So close, yes.
Right, indeed. She was born in Halifax to a family of 10 children.
Ooh,
So
gotcha.
she was part
Yeah.
of a large family, grew up with mom and dad there. And because she grew up with so many siblings, I don't know what order she was in, but I know that she was probably one of the older ones.
Mhm.
Because as she embarked on her adult life, she still had younger siblings at home that were quite a bit younger.
Gotcha.
And that's some foreshadowing.
Okay,
It
gotcha.
does impact my story.
Oh, dun,
Oh.
dun, dun. I like it. I like a good bit of foreshadowing.
Yeah. So Viola noticed that there weren't a lot of beauty shops or opportunities for women in her community to go be pampered, have their hair done, get the products they need. The beauty shops that were owned by white women, I don't even know if Black women could go into them, but even if they did, they weren't trained specifically on how to take care of natural hair.
Mhm.
So noticing the absence of that in her community, professional hair care and skin products, she set her sights to learning how to care for hair professionally and opening her own beauty shop and making her own products.
Oh, nice.
However, she could not train to become a beautician in Halifax because of her skin color.
Yeah.
So she was forced to receive beautician training in Montreal,
Okay.
in Atlantic City,
Oh.
and she went to Madam C.J. Walker's beauty school in New
Just-
York.
Oh,
I
very
was
cool.
wondering if there was that Indiana tie-in. Yeah,
Yes.
but Madam C.J. Walker at the time even could have been in St. Louis. I know she was in St. Louis
I
for a
am
while,
not
but
sure.
Kinda
Yeah.
one of her places. That's amazing. I like that they cross-pollinated. Yeah.
Right? Women
Nice.
supporting women,
Exactly.
teaching, bringing them up.
Yeah.
So, and that's big to Viola too,
Yeah.
because when she returned to her community in Halifax, not only did she open her beauty school, or her, not only, I gave it away.
There you go.
She opened her beauty shop and she opened her own school, the Desmond
Sweet.
School of Beauty Culture, so that
Yay.
Black women would not have to travel so far to receive proper training.
Nice.
Very cool.
There
Very
you go.
cool.
That's a lifting as you climb kind of
Mhm.
scenario. I love that.
Absolutely. And in the meantime, she met her husband, got married. I think
Nice.
his name was Jack. Who cares?
There you go. It's Jack.
That's what I always say.
Jack
We're
is a
talking
fine
about the woman
name.
here.
It's a
Husband
fine
number
name.
one.
Became, a businesswoman.
Mhm.
But she also launched her own beauty products, which
Oh,
were
yeah.
called V's Beauty Products.
I like it.
Sweet.
So, and part of launching her own beauty products was traveling around because, she couldn't sell them on the internet.
Yeah, the traveling
Mhm.
salesman of it all.
Yeah, but she would have to travel to different communities to sell her products, to
Yeah.
introduce them. Door-to-door
The
sales.
internet would have been
kind of
much
thing.
easier, wouldn't
Right?
it? Would have been great.
Yes.
The Victorian internet of 1911.
So she was traveling a lot, and she had a business trip she was on November 8th, 1946, and her car broke down in New Glasgow. I don't know why that's
New
hard.
Glasgow.
New
Okay,
Glasgow.
yeah. Oh, yeah, there you go.
All through the documentary, it sounded like one word. I
Yeah.
was like, I'm going to have to look this up. Is it New Glasgow?
Right. Is it a take on the Scottish one? Right.
Yes, but her car broke down, and she was told it would be a day to get the part so then they could fix it. So she was stranded in that town overnight.
Gotcha.
And she didn't want to just sit around in her hotel room and do nothing. She decided she would go to the Roseland Theater to watch The Dark Mirror starring Olivia de Havilland.
Olivia de Havilland. Yes.
Havilland.
That woman, I think, lived to like 104, 107. She is one of the oldest actresses of all time. It's
Right.
the only reason why I know her name.
So she decided she'd go watch a movie to pass the time. And this was something that I found really interesting in the documentary, was kind of the different approach Canada and the United States had with segregation and Jim Crow laws.
Right.
Because in Canada, there were some Jim Crow laws, and a lot of them had to do with education.
Okay.
But then a lot of them that were more in the social sphere, like theaters, restaurants, they didn't have any set laws on the books.
Oh.
So it was kind of up to each individual's establishment what they chose to do.
So you had no idea going into an establishment what the rules were.
Right. In fact, in the
Ugh,
documentary,
yeah.
they said a lot of Black people said they almost would rather be living in southern United States where the laws were
They
extremely
knew
clear
what
cut
it was. Yeah.
than in
No surprises.
these places around Canada where
Yeah.
they weren't always the same between community and community.
Right.
Right.
So Viola went to the Roseland Film Theater not knowing that they did have segregation enforced at that theater.
Right.
So she came in and she asked for a ticket for the main floor.
Mhm.
And they sold her a ticket for the balcony.
Oh. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So and nothing was posted about where people should sit or where they should be.
Of course. Yeah.
Viola always sat on the main floor because she was a little far-sighted or nearsighted.
Gotcha. I know what you're talking
I
about.
can
Yeah.
never remember those two.
The
but
one
she,
where you need to sit closer.
the one where you need to sit closer.
You can't see
Not
far
an
away with it.
optometrist.
Exactly.
I always have to stop and think about it because I think it's the opposite of what you would think it would be.
Yes.
I have no
It's
idea
which
what
one
it
you
is.
can see. Yeah.
You are.
Yeah.
So she went ahead and sat in the main theater.
Yeah, sure.
It was noticed.
Oh, no.
And the ticket salesperson came and said, "You can't sit here. Your ticket is for the balcony. You have to go up to the balcony." And she said, "Well, I want to watch from the main floor. So go ahead and I'll pay the difference. I'll buy a ticket for the main floor." And she said, "Well, I can't sell you one of those
Right.
Mm.
Yeah, there it is.
because Black people could only buy the tickets for the balcony."
Right. Racism.
Right?
Yeah.
So at that point, Viola had to make a decision.
Right?
And Viola she was known as being very put together, very ladylike, following the rules, very prim and proper.
Mhm.
But she decided she wasn't going to get up and go to the balcony.
There you go. She just had a day. And she was like, I'm watching this movie. Y'all can figure it out.
Right. And so they got the manager, and the manager came and said the same thing. You have to
Mhm.
get out of here. You don't have a ticket for the main floor.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we're not going to sell you one for the main floor.
Exactly.
And she still did not get up. So at that
Nice.
point, the theater called the police,
Right.
and she was pulled out of the theater by multiple policemen. She ended up with like a bruised hip, a little beaten up because it was,
Right. Yeah.
they were bodily
Mhm.
pulling her out of there.
Right. And she did not want to go.
Right. But
Yep.
I, from what I'm understanding, she didn't make a scene. She just wasn't.
Right. Oh,
I can
okay,
just imagine
yeah,
she's
yeah.
just like, I'm dead weight. I'm not,
Right.
I'm not helping you with this. This
Going
is not.
full boneless.
It's all on
Right.
you. It's all on
Right.
you, big guy.
And at that point, they took her away to the local jail
Right.
and locked her up. They didn't inform her she had a right for bail.
Ah.
They didn't inform her she had a right for legal counsel to get a lawyer.
Mhm.
They told her none of that. They locked her away for the night in a jail cell that was both men and women.
Oh, gotcha.
I'm sure it was a really traumatic,
Yeah.
scary experience. And about 12 hours later, they came and took her before a judge.
Oh, okay.
And the judge found her I need to look up. Oh, her arrest and her charge was for tax evasion.
Wait,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I don't know much about taxes.
I feel like
That doesn't seem right,
maybe
though.
she was accused of being diabetic.
Right, exactly.
This is not computing for me at all.
Right.
Exactly. Did somebody get the diabetes from her being in a seat?
Mm-hmm.
So what it was the balcony price ticket then was 30 cents.
Okay, yes. 30 cents.
And it had entertainment tax.
Sure.
That was 2 cents.
Oh. Yeah.
Then the floor tickets were 40 cents
Okay.
with a 3 cents tax for the government.
Okay. That's
So
the
she was
taxation.
convicted of depriving the government of a 1 cent
Oh.
cents in tax.
Oh, my Lord. Wow. Okay. Yeah, and a judge enforced this.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
She was
All right.
she was found guilty
Oh, wow.
of this.
1 cent.
So she spent
Yeah.
12 hours in jail. She
Okay.
had to pay a $26 fine for tax evasion.
Sure.
Of 1 penny.
Yep.
Of
mhm.
Yeah.
1 penny.
Yeah. What about like 2 pennies? Like, couldn't that be square? Like, I'll double it.
Mhm.
Here's 2 whole pennies. Wow.
Yes.
Mhm.
So she returned to Halifax and discussed the matter with her husband.
Yeah.
Her husband discouraged her from taking action and told her to drop it, that it was over, it was done,
Gotcha.
leave it alone.
Probably also trying to be safe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, let's
Yes.
let's let it go. Let's not cause more trouble.
She was hurt, right?
Yeah.
Like you said, that she,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it was a physical altercation for her.
But what did she do?
So she went and sought advice from some leaders at her church,
Yeah.
at the Cornwallis Street Baptist Church.
Nice.
She talked to Minister William Purley Oliver and his wife Pearline, and they encouraged her to take action.
Yes.
She also, so she decided to find a lawyer. The NSWACP helped connect her with a lawyer
Okay. Yep.
to support her. Also, Carrie Best broke the story, and it was in the Clarion, which is the first Black-owned and published Nova Scotian magazine
Oh, nice.
or newspaper.
Yeah. Gotcha.
And she closely covered this story. So now she had her support with her community,
Mhm.
her lawyer. She had the media, the press
Mhm.
covering this. Her lawyer decided to go after kind of restitutions for her injuries, her
Gotcha.
reputation being tarnished, all of that.
Yeah.
I don't know the law, but I believe what it was they said, she can't do that because she was convicted and found guilty.
Mm.
So at that point, the lawyer said, okay, well, then it sounds like the first step we need to do is overturn your conviction.
Right. Yes.
When he tried to do that, it was a really rough road. And in the end, they said, no, her conviction stands. It was a case of tax evasion.
Sure.
Unbelievable.
Mhm.
And she lost. They appealed. She lost. It was a long process. And afterwards, a lot of the judges even said if she had been able to pursue it on the grounds of racial discrimination, she would have had a case.
Oh.
But they couldn't
But you can't.
when it's the review of the law,
Yeah.
the review of But that's
she's
not the
already
law they
accused-
used, was the
Right.
racial segregation. So she was in a really hard spot.
Right. Yeah.
So I think the silver lining of all of this was the notoriety, the attention to the cause, the
Right.
civil rights that
Right.
this brought about.
The unfairness of it all. Yeah.
Right. She definitely became an icon
Yeah.
for change. However, on a personal level, this was really devastating for her.
Yeah.
She ended up with her marriage ended.
Oh.
She decided to close her business.
Oh, gotcha.
I think I would imagine she felt a lot of fear in her community
Yeah.
because while she had
Retribution.
support of her close community, there's also
Yes.
a lot of people in her community that wanted segregation,
Mhm.
that opposed what she was doing.
Or what is it they say when the nail that's sticking out gets hammered back
Mm,
down? That
mhm.
sort of, causing a ruckus.
We're doing that.
Mhm.
I learned through the documentary, and I just had never thought one way or the other, but that Canada did have their own version. They had their own KKK,
Oh,
Mm.
gotcha.
except
Oh,
they were
no.
the KKKK.
Oh, there's 4 Ks. Oh no.
Yeah, and the last K was for Canada with a K.
No.
Oh my.
No.
They're clever, aren't they?
Okay. I learned living in Georgia that any restaurant that has 3 Ks in the name and they change words like crispy to start with a K, I did not partake in that business. Because I could
Definitely
crack
not.
that code. 4 Ks?
4 Ks.
Canada
The
with
4
a
Ks.
K?
Canada with a K.
Okay.
Those clever bastards.
Damn it.
So after dealing with this trial, she closed her businesses. She moved to Montreal, where she enrolled in business college.
Cool.
So, she was still pursuing. I don't know what she was looking for, what she was pursuing.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of information, even in the documentary, about that period of her life after the court cases. But she did eventually settle in New York, where she died on February 7th, 1965, only at the age of 50.
Oh, gotcha.
She was a
There's
pretty
a lot of
short
stress.
life.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Yeah.
stress there.
She probably saw a lot than what was going on with the
Civil
American
rights,
civil rights
yeah.
movement of yeah, that had to be. But I mean, maybe seeing,
Well, and I wish I knew more about kind of the education in Canada or how they've preserved their history.
Yeah.
Because from what I was understanding through the documentary, it sounds like she was lost to history for a while.
Oh, gotcha.
So you would think if we call her, Canada's Rosa Parks, I feel like maybe there was
Right.
a time that Rosa wasn't thought of a lot. But I remember even in the late 80s, early 90s, learning about Rosa Parks in
Right.
school as part of my
Exactly.
education. But I'm not sure she was
Right, yeah.
taught about that much,
Mhm.
not on a very all of Canada kind of level.
Yeah.
But then in 2010, her younger sister, I'm trying to remember her name, a super, super cute, sweet older lady that was in the documentary.
Aw.
But she decided to kind of, with her retirement, her name's Wanda.
Oh, Wanda.
Yeah, Wanda Robson.
Aw.
So she decided she wanted to take some classes at the local college, the nearby college. And she took a class on racial discrimination and the history of civil rights in Canada.
Yeah.
And the professor started teaching about Viola. And she said, "That's my sister. You're talking about my
Aw.
sister."
Yeah.
So she was able to share a lot of stories with
Aw.
the class and talk to the professor a lot.
Yeah.
And realized that her sister deserved more than she got.
Yeah, absolutely.
So she made it her mission to get an apology for her sister.
Ooh.
So she talked to local politicians,
Mhm.
people of note. She worked her connections. And eventually what happened was it wasn't just an apology,
Yeah.
but they gave Viola a free pardon,
No.
which apparently is an extremely huge deal.
Oh, yeah.
Very
yeah.
rare because
Gotcha.
they'll give pardons, which are like a mercy.
Okay. Yeah.
However, a free pardon in Canada is saying you were innocent, you were wrongly convicted, it was
Oh.
our mistake.
Aw.
And apparently super, super rare.
Yeah.
So she got one of those, and from there, people learning about her through that in 2010.
Mhm.
There was a portrait of hers put in the Halifax legal building,
Yeah.
city building,
Government,
whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it just snowballed until the point that it was like 2018 or 19. She ended up being on one of their currencies.
Nice.
I think it was like the
Oh.
$20 bill
Nice.
that she was on.
Yeah.
And she was only the 5th woman to be on currency
Right.
and the first non-royal.
Oh.
Nice.
The others
Very
were
nice.
Right.
English
Elizabeth.
queens. and-
Elizabeth. All of the numbers of the Elizabeths.
Right,
Yes.
right.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
She's on the
And
money.
There's also a really great array of different things, grave markers,
Mhm.
historical nods to her contribution to the civil rights
Yeah.
around Halifax and other places in that province or
Showing
territory, whatever.
her existence, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Oh,
giving information
nice.
about what she did, who she was. Because not only
Aw.
was she revolutionary in the civil rights, but just as a businesswoman
Yeah.
of
Yes.
that time and, helping
Mhm.
other women become
Yes.
independent businesswomen.
Yeah.
Definitely did important things during her time in Canada. So, and I'm so glad that it's being recognized there now.
Yes.
Very nice.
Exactly.
Very nice.
And I do highly recommend the documentary. It's called A Long Road to Justice, the Viola Desmond Story.
Gotcha.
And I watched it on Netflix.
oh,
or
gotcha.
not-
YouTube.
YouTube.
Yeah, there you go. Yes,
I
it
watched
might-
it on
One of
YouTube.
those
Might be
red
on the Netflix
logo
as well.
I
but
think
it was
Netflix
YouTube,
is
yeah.
becoming like soda or Coke. It's like a
Yes,
catch-all for
it is.
online
Yeah.
viewing,
It's true. It's true.
and I need to stop it. But yeah,
It's like I watched it on the streaming site. Which one? I don't know. There's 15. It must have been Netflix.
it's been Netflix. But
Nice.
Very nice story.
Very cool.
Yeah. it was wonderful to learn about her. Very
Yeah.
inspiring woman.
There you go.
And I thought it was really sweet how hard her sister fought to get her recognized for her contribution.
Yes.
And to get, almost forgot that part.
Yeah.
The government also agreed to pay back the $26 that she was
Nice.
fined as part of,
Oh,
she
look
got her
at
free
that.
pardon. She
And
deserved
she-
her money back.
Nice.
So they dealt with like the inflation of whatever it was, and I think it was
Sure.
like $348, and it was going to go to her closest next of kin. And that person said, "Well, we're going to donate it as a scholarship
yeah.
to."
Yeah.
Perfect.
I can't remember what institution it is now. And at that point, the government said, "Okay, well, we'll make it $1,000."
Oh,
Aw,
there you
nice.
go. See, very.
Well, I love
cool.
that tie-in too of how Wanda just happened to be in a class where they were teaching about her sister, and that was kind of the start of the whole process where
Mhm.
the conversations happen and the recognition happen after that. How very cool.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm not sure how prevalent her story was before 2010, but I can tell you now that she's been on the bill, she's been on a stamp.
They're
Reported
making up
thing-
for lost
yeah.
time.
I
Yes.
mean, all the younger people in Canada are definitely going to know her face and
That's
her
very
story.
nice. Very
Yeah.
nice.
Oh, I dig that. Yes, fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful, beautiful history that found its wonderful place in Canada history.
Absolutely.
I like it. Sweet.
Shall I wrap us up?
I think you should. Yes. Brilliant.
I got the drop on you. I could see on your face.
I
you were
was
gonna
trying to find the
wrap
piece of
us
paper.
up. Well, that wraps it up for us this week. Join us next week as another Canadian gal is picked to share as Gal's Guide podcast continues. Thanks for listening.
Want to learn about more women of history? Gal's Guide opened a unique women's history lending library. Come visit and explore our collection. Learn more at galsguide.org. Thanks for listening.